and welcome to the No Taboo Woo Woo Show.
I'm Sandra Logan.
And I'm Gail Chisholm.
If you enjoy being a fly on the wall of deep and meaningful conversations between pals on all things spirituality, healing and personal empowerment, then you have landed in the right podcast.
Enjoy today's episode.
Hello!
Hello.
Oh, you look
Right.
so smiley today. I love that.
Authentically me today with no makeup on, my hair slicked back because I'm a nipple later. Although this little bit of my fringy bit's annoying me. First world problems. What to do with your fringe?
I know, Gail was just saying to me that she was like trying to refrain from cutting her fringe before she goes to the hairdresser.
Yeah. It's that way of like it's gotten like a little bit long, so it's like it's sort of kinking out, and I don't mind it so much. And I always knew that getting a fringe cut, especially with a slight wave, it brings extra admin, like hair admin.
Yeah.
So I always kind of knew that, and it's at that point where my hair needs cut, but I'm like, just hang on till Friday.
Yeah.
I was actually, I was actually asking ChatGPT something this week, or no, last week about, because I was learning about doshas in my Kundalini yoga training, and I was asking it something because I didn't know what that was, so I was doing research, but I wasn't doing research on ChatGPT. I was asking it to verify something for me, and I took a photo of my face. And then I was like, I'm just going to ask it about hairstyles because obviously,
I love
and I was like,
the ChatGPT, like absolute tangent that you go
well,
on.
I know. So then I said, do you think a French bob would suit my face shape? I'm fortunate my face is quite oval. It's like yours as well. Like actually most hairstyles will suit an oval face. And it was sort of like, yeah. And then, so because I'd sent in the photo, I was like, show me what it looks like. And so then it generated a picture, and actually in the photo I'd sent, I think I had my fringe out, but it just removed the fringe and gave me, because it was sort of like more of like an Italian bob. I was like, okay, cool.
I don't know the difference, by the way, between a French bob and an Italian bob.
So a French bob is much sort of like shorter, more defined and angular.
Oh, okay.
A bit more chic, whereas the Italian bob has slightly more movement in it. It's probably a little bit longer, but it's a little bit more choppy. So rather than being all one line. And so then I said, I've got a fringe. Can you show me what it looks like with a fringe? Anyway, it generated these two photos, and it's now evolved. Like it gave me a whole like little lookbook of like the vibe and everything. And I was like, that's kind of not what I asked. But the thing that really annoyed me more than any of that information it gave me was it also seemed to give me a facelift, rewound the clock for like about 20 years. But even still, it was like, it changed like the shape of my nose. And I was saying to Bob, I was like, this is what stuff that frustrates me, because it's almost like I haven't asked you to say what would I look like with a facelift or a nose job. I've asked you basically put a hairstyle on my face.
Why does it do that?
I do not know.
Like,
I know that
why is it programmed for that?
It's weird. And then like, was it like last year I was doing this similar with Bob actually, and it had done the first. I think we generated like 3 photos or something, and like the first photo, there was something in the background. So like in the background just now, there's a rucksack, right? And then AI photo, if we took that, it would probably just take that out of the photo. No request to do so. But I just was like, this is like, you're presenting me back this. And I thought, no wonder people are like thinking that they need to get like Botox or like go for like under the knife on things, because it's like they're presenting something back where you're like, that's not what I look like. But now I'm thinking, well, maybe I need to not just get a haircut. Not that I would actually, that's not what I was thinking at all. But I just was like, why is AI doing that?
I don't know.
I thought like young people, and I don't even think this is gender specific anymore, because I think that for young people, male and female, feel the pressure of aesthetic lifestyle, or to look and conform a certain way. I don't think it's just necessarily women anymore, but that whole sector's billions, isn't it? Trillions, probably.
Forever young. Yeah, I want this to be forever young.
It's so funny as well because the other thing that I've been doing is, so like my hair, I haven't had my hair dyed for about a year now. In fact, I think it's over a year now.
Are you
And so
embracing
I
the
think
greys?
well, yeah, I've got like nice little grey
Love
bits
that.
here, but actually there's like sort of subtle grey hair mingled in a little bit. And I think the next time I get my hair, because I'm going to go a bit shorter because it's summer and I feel like it's roasting. So I'm like, you'll notice this with having a buzz cut. You're like, oh, it's so nice and cool.
Oh, it's great. You just need to worry about your scalp and the back of your neck and your ears
Oh,
getting
absolutely. So
absolutely burnt to a crisp.
yeah, so I think I'm going to get it cut shorter to kind of come up to more above the shoulders. And
Mhm.
actually, it's going to mean that I'll probably only have maybe about an inch of dyed hair at the bottom, potentially, not even
Ooh.
that. And then I was like, and then I'm like, oh, maybe fresh hair, maybe I'll get it dyed again. But I was like, no, let's see what it's like. Au natural.
Yeah. God, your hair's grown quick. Really
My
quick.
hair does grow quite quick, I think. It's still got a wave in it and it's still a bit like frizzy. I can't lie. Like, I think since chemo, I mean, that's been like, what's, it's probably like year 6 of my hair coming back since I lost it all. And it is still a bit wavy and it gets quite frizzy. And I think because it's not the hair I grew up with, well,
Mhm.
I find it tricky to manage sometimes because I'm like, I don't like,
Yeah.
you know, but also because like, you know, these things require hair admin. I enjoy doing it quite a bit, but I find that quite often I end up just straightening it because like I'll let it dry and then it looks like a frizz ball and then I'll just whiz
Yeah.
the straightener through it.
I don't know if
Um,
I'll ever get to the point where I'm like, oh, grow my hair out. And I never imagined when I buzzed it off that I would have it buzzed for as long as I have. But that's been 2 years now. Be
it
two
really
years.
suits
Start of
you.
June, it was when I got it done.
Oh,
Um, and yeah, I just partly because it just is feels easy, but I actually still love it. But the thought of like going back to like, well, growing it out and going through that regrowth process, because it
mhm.
literally at this point grows out. There's like nothing you can do to stop that.
Yeah.
And so I know that it would be an era of headscarves and hats and,
It's
kind
probably like a
of
good
just
winter task, isn't it? To go because you
100%.
probably only need
Yeah.
like 4 weeks for it to get beyond the sticky out to then just sort of starting to lie flat and look like a really cool pixie cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the perseverance. If
And
you were
then the
wanting to
maintenance.
learn about resilience and perseverance, here,
I know. I just find it so easy. And I still love it.
I
I
think it looks
still love
great.
it.
Um,
So yeah, I
yeah.
don't feel any rush to grow it back. And also when I think back to like when I did have hair, the faff, like, because my hair was always really fine and always really flyaway, and it was like the trying to force it to be something that it wasn't.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? It's like a bit
yeah.
of a metaphor for what we do as humans, is like trying to make ourselves a certain way when we are
Mm.
kind of who we are. Not that we can't evolve, right? But with my hair especially, I felt like, oh, it was just, I always wanted to have that sort of like loose, wavy curl, which my hair just doesn't naturally have. And it was like, then you'd go out in the rain or in even like humid environments, and it would just be like, meh. It
Yeah,
just looked so lifeless. So
I
now I
know.
just feel like I've eliminated it.
Wow.
Don't need
I
to
mean,
worry
it is
about
such a part of our
bleach and blow
identity as well,
drying.
though, isn't it? And it's
It is, yeah.
and I remember thinking like when I lost it all, and I was like, this shouldn't matter, but it's an outward
Mm,
projection, and also because as
yeah.
humans, like most people have hair. I know like sometimes people will go bald for whatever reason, but like we all start life with hair, so it's like we feel that because it's been there that we should still have it.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
very different, like, losing your hair to chemo because you're going through cancer versus a choice to actually buzz it off, like,
yeah, and I
I
think what
know that
didn't
that's very
help
different.
is that it's not just like so it's I think if it was just the hair on your head, it would be easier to manage, but when it's also then your eyebrows and your
Yeah.
eyelashes and like your nasal hair, like all your kind of like hair, it's I think that's the thing that's always quite challenging when you look in the mirror, because like you just, when you've got nothing on your face, like you've literally got your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. It's like
Yeah.
the features, like
Uh,
you're
yeah,
um,
funnily enough,
mm,
when we went into the Maggie Centre a few weeks ago, beautiful Maggie Centre in Edinburgh, by the way, for anyone who is going through cancer or knows somebody going through it, it's such a lovely space. I don't think I mentioned
oh,
that in the last pod. But going in there, my dad had kind of made a bit of a joke about me not being the one that's with having the buzz cut. And
yeah,
the nurse actually was like, "It's okay. I know. I noticed your eyebrows." She was like, "That's the thing that gives it away, is the
in the
eyebrows."
eye, yeah, in the
Um,
eyelashes. It's
yeah, because
yeah,
you're seeing
and
people
also
every
like
day.
it's the pallor of your skin as well, and like just like
Yeah,
your texture can change, the color. Things just don't seem as natural. So
yeah,
but no, the Maggie Centre's cool. It's got very kind of Scandi vibes, and the light is beautiful.
yeah. And their garden out the back is so lovely to
Mm,
go and sit outside, and little birdies come to
mm,
visit, and yeah, really nice this time of year as well with all the everything blooming and stuff. So it's cool.
mm,
It's cool. And the people there are so friendly.
yeah,
So friendly. It's
yeah.
like a little safe space to go chat to somebody and they make you a cuppa and everything. So yeah.
A wee biscuit.
We did get a biscuit. They came around with a whole cookie jar of biscuits. So that was very kind. Nice to go and
Mm.
get a wee cuppa. Oh, there's a little birdie outside. I don't know what that is. Maybe a little sparrow. There's sparrows here that live in one of the outbuildings, and they're so
Oh,
cool to
nice.
watch. They were flying last night, like right past my head. They're very cool. I'm
I
getting
was
distracted though because I was going to show off. Were you going to say something?
I was just gonna say, like, I've really noticed the bird song around. I think because we were saying to like summerish really now, but the
Yeah.
lighter days and just like like waking up, unless because the windows open at night and things now, is like hearing the birds.
Mm, I know it's so
Um,
nice. Eh?
mm. They say, what was it? Was it about like it's a really good regulating thing to do is to listen to birds. It helps make you feel safe, doesn't it? It's something
Yeah.
like that I was reading the other day.
Yeah. When I was talking about this the other day to somebody, and not to you, funnily enough, is when because when there's danger around, birds don't tweet. So it's
Mm,
a sign that there could be a threat around. So the bird song, because we're so synced to nature, to the energy of nature, is like when the birds tweet, it regulates us, which I think
mm,
is the most magnificent thing. So that's why like listening to even bird song, a recording is so powerful because it's
mm,
like it tells your nervous system you're okay, you're safe. There's
mhm,
no
mhm,
threats, no danger around. That's why they
mm.
used to take, I think it was canaries, they used to take down the mines.
Oh, yeah.
Sad, man. That's sad. I know. Um, Following that, I'm going to show off this, people. I did a whole TikTok video on this because it is really heavy, right? But Gail kindly gifted me this. It is, wait till you see, wait till you see. Ah, look, it is a tarot box that her lovely partner Bob made. It's made from oak and rosewood, and so it weighs a ton. But it's got these little sections, look, with ribbons so that I can get my cards out. And it's got a space. I've got my incense in here. I've also managed to fit in my little moonstone crystal.
Oh, nice.
And it's got even um my incense holder. You can put your cards in here and pick them out. And it's even got a little strip along here. That, oh, there's the King of Swords that you can pop.
Oh,
You can pop your cards up
he's
there as
got
well.
two.
Is that not the coolest thing ever? I was saying to Gail, I was laughing because it's like everything in life at the moment seems a bit chaotic, and this is like a little bit of order in my life, and I love it. Like, look at the feet
Oh,
on it and everything. The craftsmanship is phenomenal.
oh,
Every
he
time I
loves
look at it, I'm like, you're not the same with yours. Every time you look at it, I'm
yeah,
just like, what a piece of craftsmanship.
yeah.
It's
Mine's
so
is sitting
cool.
over here just now. The lid is closed on it. Weirdly, actually, the truth bomb, I know I'm not doing the card pull, but the truth bomb that I pulled yesterday is sitting on it, which is says
Conclusion.
conclusions are lethal. Do you know,
Oh,
I had a revelation about this when I pulled it out the other day because I actually nearly put this. Actually, I nearly shared for the embodiment class on Saturday morning, which I thought was interesting around full moon and
I
Sag.
was going
But
to say it's full moon.
um, I remember I've pulled this card before, and I just thought every time I've seen it is like I've always taken it as like conclusions are lethal in the sense of, you know, like if you make an assumption, it makes an ass of you and an ass of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always sort of looked at it in that lens. But on Saturday morning, I actually looked at it because we were doing with the Sagittarius full moon around like releasing what binds you and endings and release.
Yeah.
And I was like, actually, conclusions are lethal because a conclusion is a full stop. So it can actually propel you forward. So as in
Yeah.
lethal from the sense of
Freddie, it was me.
creating space for you to go forward rather than making conclusions can be a bad thing. I took it as
Mm.
lethal for you to move forward because it's like definite boundary set and full stop going forward. And it's really
Yeah.
funny because like as I say, I've had this card out a few times and I thought that was the first time I looked at it through a different lens on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. That you can look at it from both perspectives, eh? And I think that
Yeah.
it then determines like how you apply it to what you're going through. That's the thing with the truth bombs, isn't it? Is then it's like
Yeah.
how do I apply it to what I'm going through just now?
Yeah. The other one that's sitting out at my little altar is the universe only trades up. And I was like, I needed to do that.
Oh, that's cool. I like that one. I have
Uh,
to say, I do love your truth bombs because
yeah,
they
they're
just
really
like
good.
get to the heart of it, don't they?
They
They
do,
just
and
like
I think it's
straight talking.
you know, in the same way as like with tarot, like you can interpret the imagery or take like the meaning of the card, but interpret it for the question or
Yeah.
the intention that you've set or whatever is going on in your world. You know, ultimately language can be interpreted in different ways as well. So
Mm.
I quite like it. I actually have a few of them on the pin board that are just out. Um so I've got like wanting more for your future is not a betrayal of your past.
Oh, I remember that one. That's a goodie.
And then you are worthy of your desires. So these are what I look at
Mm.
every day. After logic, meditate, but I got gifted that one. So that one's up there. And then be a fucking superstar. When that one came out, I was like, that's going on my
Yay!
dashboard.
Yay!
Um, so
That's
yeah, I
cool.
like that. That one stares me right in the face. It's like
Uh,
that one's proper eyeliner. There's the others I have to look up for. So
yeah.
nice reminder. What
It's
deck are
so
you
funny as
using
well.
today?
Huh?
I was just going to say, what deck are you using today?
I've gone for the light seers today. It's speaking to me. It's speaking to me. It's funny you're mentioning about the having the affirmations like the truth bombs around. The TikTok that I posted today, it's a nice little synchronicity, was one of the messages in there was about writing out affirmations and having them up around you.
Mm,
Because this is the thing, right? It's like those things that we're seeing subliminally, even if we're not like consciously reading them out, it's like the words around. That's why they say even like the books that you have shown on your bookshelf, like what are the titles of the books
mm,
that you are noticing every day? What are the words and how do they make you feel?
mm,
It's the same with like the affirmations, isn't it?
yeah.
So it's like
I,
those little reminders.
I
And it's
attended a little, it was, shout out to Aileen, not sure if she listens or not, but she is a coach for stylists to help you accelerate your business. But she was running she does these little like challenges every now and again. And it was a little 3-day one last week about how she has a methodology,
mm-hmm.
probably the best way to describe it around like, you know, so how do you move from where you're at to where you want to go? And I've done some of her stuff before and I've actually worked with her in one of our groups and she's, you know, really excellent on like the strategy, cutting to the chase, helping you get forward, being very, you know, and she's also a projector, which is
Oh, that's
also, yeah, it's
cool.
really good to witness how a projector runs her business.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing we did on last week on the first day was actually exploring conditioning. And she was saying,
Mm.
like, you can have the best strategy that whatever, like the plan that's on the page. But if you've got like processes running in the background, or like narratives running in the background, like beliefs that you've never really questioned, like this, is that's always going to sabotage you because you've not addressed it. She shouldn't use the word
Mm.
sabotage, that's my interpretation. But she talked about it being like you've got all these, she described it as like the filing cabinet of your subconscious. And
Mm.
have you ever looked in there at the files, and to sort of sit with whether or not they're true or not? And like a lot of this can be, I don't know if we've talked about conditioning so much on the pod before, but even that thing of like you're absorbing information right from pre-birth, really, and
Mhm.
that actually all that information you've absorbed before you've developed critical thinking is just sitting there. And unless
Mhm.
you've actually gone back and looked at it, and things like, is this something I believe to be true, or is this actually that somebody in my world believed to be true that
Yeah.
I've just never questioned?
Yeah.
And we talked about, the first thing she did was this little exercise of, like, because it was in the context of like being a six-figure stylist, right? And she said, "What is the number you want to achieve every month?" And she's like, "Don't play small on this, because you might be like, well, I'd love to just get like, 2 to 3 thousand pound a month in my income, blah blah." And she's like, "No, no, what's the
Fuck you money. That's what I like
yeah?"
to call
And then she's like,
it.
"So let's say it's like you want to earn £10,000 a month," and she says, "You write down, I am worthy
Mm.
of £10,000 per month." And then she said, "Say it aloud. And how does it feel in your body? Where are you feeling it?" And it was just really fascinating, because then you're starting to go, well, what's the narrative running in the background that makes, or like, because if you're like,
Yeah.
not now,
Literally choking
or
on the
like,
words.
and then it's like, it's not even just, and then we were touching on like, what is the environment that you're existing in?
Mhm.
What is the affirmations that you're telling yourself? How are you reinforcing your worthiness, or whatever it is that you want to do? Are you watching the news all the time? Like, what are you consuming? Like, how are you setting yourself up to be an environment where your dreams can come true?
Yeah.
Because with the best strategy in the world, that will for most people will only take you so far, because
Yeah.
unless you deal with those limiting beliefs that sit within you that you probably aren't even aware of.
Yeah.
um and it was really interesting. I did after the call, because I mean, we've talked about this before, and I've done like limiting belief stuff before. And there was an exercise I used to do with Marie, where it was like you could do it a little bit on your fear, and it helps you identify controllables and things that aren't in your control.
Mhm.
But I literally sat down and I wrote in the middle, I am worthy of £10,000 a month. I don't know if the viewers
Oh,
will
I
be able
love a
to see
little
that.
mind map.
So I
Little
just
mind
wrote
map.
down everything that came up around it.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really interesting. And also when you tune in, and then I decided I was on a roll. That's also because the sun was out and I sat out in the back garden.
Nice.
I then did one around, I love and accept myself,
Mhm.
looking at more of like, I suppose, all of me, and like body and style and stuff like that. And you write down some of the things that come up, your inner critic bit and things. And then I realized, like, I operate within a perceived a safe container. So
Mm.
I, when I think about worthiness of earning that amount of money, and when I look at everything that comes up around that, is I've created a container that feels safe for me. But that
Okay.
container, I mean, I might make it to £10,000 a month if I live to about 250. Um,
If you carry on that way, you mean? Yeah.
basically, and realizing, I'm like, well, what? what has defined this container for me, and
Yeah.
realizing that where some of those narratives have come for this perception of safe. And then what I have actually realized is there has been growth and progress over the last few years, is that container is a bit bigger now.
Mm-hmm.
So there has been expansion, but really, and this is where sort of like, you start to look at all of these beliefs and pushing yourself and the visibility and all that kind of stuff. And we've had some voice notes to and froing around. What's the point? And then like the point is we keep going now. There is the point to keep
I
pushing.
know.
And so I was realizing it's like, well, how do I suppose I mean, I could just keep expanding the container, but actually it's about, can I just remove the container?
Oh.
So that's where I got to last week, but that was quite interesting. And it just goes back to your point on affirmations and like, what are even those small things of like, what's your environment?
Mm,
What are the things that are in your eye line? What's the little, the subliminal messages telling me I'm a
yeah.
fucking superstar, or like the books that are on your shelves, and, you
Yeah.
know, like even things like, having a beautiful tarot box that's tangible that kind of makes you feel and special and like lean
Yeah.
into it, or, even things like our hair and our, the freedom and things it can create. So,
Yeah.
um,
Ah, I
interesting.
love that. It's what a juicy topic as well. And like on like what you were saying about conditioning and stuff as well is because what I've noticed about working with people over the years is that like it's not necessarily that people have been told a certain narrative. They've maybe not like parents or peers or whatever have maybe not spoken things out loud. So they're like, I don't know where this belief comes from, but it's in the behavior. Like that's the thing. Like with your critical thinking not developing until around 5, and your belief system, like the basis for your beliefs is in its evolution until about age 7. And so it's in the behaviors, it's in what you observe
Yeah.
in your environment when you're growing up. And I think when it comes to money, it's like what were the behaviors? What were the patterns? How did your parents spend their money? How did they have conversations about money? Or did they even, like, was it something that was hidden that was like, this taboo subject that people didn't talk about? Or, all these kind of things. And
It's like the unconscious grind, or like the
yeah,
lack mentality,
yeah,
um, like holding on to things because it's been given to you, and like, you don't get rid of something that's perfectly good, or,
yeah.
but what I've also realized is like, you've got to think, if you're operating in this container, your parents are operating in a container, which is then
Mm,
they've had messages. And so for
yeah,
me, if I look at so I'm going to be 50, my parents are early 70s. They were the product of the post-war generation, which was,
yeah, yeah,
or they are post-war generation rather. So their parents, um, so my dad's my dad's dad did fight in the Second World War. My mum's parents were just a smidge young for that, but then went into the forces. But they, living during that time of the 1930s into the 1940s and into the 1950s, is that kind of product of rationing.
hmm,
Things are not in abundance,
yeah,
having restrictions placed upon you. And, even things like, you mend your clothes, you don't buy new ones. Like,
hmm,
food doesn't go in the bin, it gets reused. And don't get me wrong, those are good things to be having, but it's like, what is the drive for that?
yeah. Is it survival and
Hmm.
scarcity, or is it out of a genuine want to protect
Yeah,
the planet and because your values are in
yeah,
alignment with, you know,
yeah.
making good of what you have? Yeah, I
And so
totally
you
hear you on
realize
that.
that some of the things that you have had handed down to you are things that are unconscious beliefs that have been attached to people around you. But then, even if you expand it wider and you think of the education system, mainstream education is a product of that environment. If you think, you've gone through like that kind of war, lack, rationing, also
Mhm.
even things like people left school at a certain age, but then it's like, so you're being told what to do, you're being told how to be educated. And then, you think of like, you could throw in gender into that, or other values and beliefs or other ways of
Yeah.
living. And then, you go into a workplace, and so there's all these, and then you think, well, what's the drive, the ingredients that have gone into the structure that exists, or
Mm-hmm.
why school was the way it was, or, you know, you sort of think, there's an element of, I'm just a person from a school in Dunfermline, like, who do I think I am? Like, because it's almost like you're educated that it's the exception that breaks through into doing something like wild, like, where I mean, maybe because you're 10 years behind me, like, do you feel like your school really set you up for, like, the genuine world is your oyster, like, gave you the capabilities and the mindset and the
No.
belief that if you wanted to be somebody or help something or do something or achieve something, that that was an environment that would support you?
No. No. I remember going to like the career coach when I was at school, still deciding what I wanted to do. In my heart at the time, like we've spoken about this before, in my heart, I wanted to do acting.
Mm.
That was where my joy lived. That felt expansive and exciting for me. But that wasn't something that was like really encouraged as a career. Maybe teaching drama,
It's
would
so
have been an
funny, isn't it? It's
option,
like, well,
but
why don't you just go and teach that? Or like,
I
but then
know.
people would be like, "You'll never make any money, like, doing that." And it's
Yeah.
so funny, isn't it? Like, the statements that suddenly just trip out your mouth and you think, "Where has that come from?"
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, I don't know what it's like now, when kids are meeting with career coaches and stuff like that and saying what are my options, because the world now is so different. And I think that's a big thing for us, is that because we're in that transitional phase from like the more traditional way of doing things where you got your education and then you went on to, you know, higher education and you were doing your degree, and then it was, we were following in the footsteps of people who picked a career for life. And you and I are both breaking that mold. But we're seeing both sides of it. So it's like
Mm,
we've not been brought up in the generation that anything is possible. I mean, there's like, influencers are making shit tons of money. And it's, that idea was completely foreign when we were kids. Like that was not
yeah.
a thing. So it's like now, it's like we're sort of more, we've moved in, and the generations that are, growing up now in their younger years, it's like I feel like they're more within that environment of witnessing the possibilities. Whereas I feel like, and you might feel this too, but it's like you're challenged internally by what you grew up with and the narrative that was there versus
Mhm.
what you see is now possible. And it's like I think that's why personally I found it really challenging, because it's breaking not just habits, but it's breaking belief systems and showing up in a different way.
Mhm.
And it's like not being reliant on somebody else's way of doing things and somebody else's systems. It's like building your own thing. But what does your own thing look like in terms of, how you show up and how you like your habits? I'm aware that the Knight of Pentacles is in the bottom of the deck here. And it is about, like, the Knight of Pentacles is all about the slow, steady progress that we take. It's the habits, it's the routines, it's the, okay, so for people working for themselves or looking for a different way of doing things, is what does that look like if you're not going into an office or into a 9 to 5, or where you have rigid working hours and, you've got certain criteria that you're meeting on a daily, weekly, monthly basis or whatever. You know, have you got are you sitting down to do your annual appraisal with yourself to be like, how did your year go? What did you learn? Where are you going in this next year? What are your plans? But the Knight of Pentacles speaks to us about, like, it's the daily grind. It's the showing up consistently, showing up for yourself and in whatever way that is.
Mhm.
And I think at the heart of it, it comes back to, like, what are you heading towards? Like, what is it that you want to do, and how is it that you want to live? Um, and like the Knight of Pentacles is not rushing towards abundance and financial abundance. It's taking the time, but it's like knowing that the foundations that you're putting in are providing something to grow upon. That's interesting, isn't it? I've got a lot of sixth house energy in my chart in astrology, and sixth house is like Knight of Pentacles energy. It's Virgo energy. It's all about your days, how you're spending your time, especially when it comes to like your work and your well-being and all of that kind of stuff. But I've got Saturn there, so there's been a lot of like lessons around that. And it's also in the house of Sagittarius, where we've just had this full moon. Sagittarius wants to be free. Sagittarius doesn't want Saturn's ass, like dealing it like all these challenges and everything, but it's there for me. So this has been a big lesson, because it's like, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is like we see nowadays, we're seeing like certain people are like, what we witness is like overnight successes and things like that. But overnight successes are, it's a lot of work in the background that people aren't seeing. It's a lot of people showing up consistently for a dream that they've had that often you don't see at the forefront.
Oh, oh.
Um, so yeah, it's interesting. And I really like what you said, Gail, about the container thing. Coming back to that is like, what is your, because it's like, what's your capacity to receive, eh? And it's like, if
Mm.
you have any sort of container, then it's limited.
Yeah,
It's
because
limited.
it came out from when I was so I started doing like when I if anybody did want to do a similar exercise, so I put the I am worthy of £10,000 a month. Even when I say that now, I can feel my inner eye roll. Right, okay. Um, and then like what are the things that come up around that when you hear that message, and it's all the good stuff and all the bad, because what it's trying to get to is when you sit and tune into it and is I suppose it's identifying the conditions which then allow you to work through them, to release them, whether that's somatic, EFT, crystals, tarot, journaling,
Mhm.
going for a walk, or just like reprogramming your brain through hypnosis or whatever you choose to do. But until you witness what the condition is, it becomes very tricky to be able
Yeah.
to move beyond it. But like, so certain things that came up for me, so things like, okay, if I think I'm worthy of £10,000 a month, one of the things here is I'll need to work 6 days a week to bring that sort of money in. Like, because I've
Mm.
made an automatic connection that in order to generate that amount of money, I have to put in an extraordinary amount of effort, and it's not like I would have to like literally live to work. And I
That's
think
that whole like trading time for money thing, isn't it?
yes,
That condition
which
is
is
like
actually
trading your hours
probably
for money.
yeah, and there's probably been
Mm.
thinking if I really dug into that. I mean, one of the next things I could say, well, where's that come from? I'd be like, well, some of it's probably been schooling through the 80s and the 90s. There's a learned behavior from my dad. There's definitely a whole thing around if you work hard, you'll get the reward,
Mhm.
which we've all witnessed people who seem
There's a
to,
little squirrel, sorry.
oh,
That's nice
um,
timing.
and then things like, so there's also the things around judgment that come up on that, because when you think about earning a lot more money than people around you or that you've grown up with, sometimes what holds us back is a fear of judgment from others.
Mm.
People don't need to see your bank account. Um, but then you
On
start to
that
go,
point, before you move on, do you think part of that is like the whole outshining other people?
yeah, that's a good point. So very well, it could be. And then because I think it's when you start to dig into these statements, you start to see all of these things that come up for you.
Mm.
And then and then you think, well, am I inadvertently holding myself back because I've been taught not to outshine these other people, or I don't want to hear like the judgment from like people going, and then also it's like when you think about doing it in a world that is, I suppose, where we're trying to operate now.
Mhm.
Like, I would have had no issue earning that and working in a corporate world.
Yeah.
Would not have bothered me in the slightest. And in fact, I probably would have been like, yeah, I am worth that because
Yeah.
I give you all my blood, sweat, and tears, and I've done this, and I'm blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because I have been programmed around to earn that sort of money, you work in a jobby job, you work your way up the ladder.
So this is
You, yeah.
interesting, right? is also, does it also come back to the value in the kind of work that you're doing?
Mhm.
Because
Yes.
there is definitely, I've witnessed, and I've witnessed it in myself and in others, about the feeling like you shouldn't charge for quote unquote spiritual services, even
100%.
though you know that they, are of massive value and that they've changed your life, they've changed others' lives. But it's like, as a
Mhm.
society, are we putting value on, I don't want to use the wrong things, right? But things that aren't necessarily the best for you. Like, it's
And
like
yeah,
the
and
whole financial services, it's respected in that it's a societal structure that
yeah,
can make a lot of money. This squirrel, by the way, is like eyeballing me. It's out there and it's like, I see
yeah.
you.
It's
Um,
I spoke a bit about this on my or in my edit stuff last week about inner critic work because it's I agree with you, and I would say as well that those types of careers suit many people because that's
yeah.
what they that's their calling. And when you work in that, because I think that's the thing is like, at the end of the day, we still, we need a bank in order to hold our money and to transact with certain things, right? So there's certain things or mechanisms and structures in society that help us, um, I suppose, create a community. And by community, I mean like our country that has common values. And so we need some of these institutions and infrastructures there. And even if you think about doctors and hospitals and things like that, but like people who want to work in that, I think where when you come to some of this is when you want to step outside of that that infrastructure. But you can even be like, so where this would have come up for me in my past world of financial services is I've got friends who work in sectors where it's not a corporate world like that, and they don't earn anything like what people in financial services would earn. If they work
Mm,
in the arts, for example, and then it's like because it's almost like it's like society has placed a hierarchy. Maybe that's a better way of
yeah.
looking at it, where it's like your job, you can earn this amount of money. Obviously, it's in quite a masculine environment, but you're working in the creative sector. Like it might be you being an actress behind the, you'll never
Mm,
earn that sort of money doing that. And so
mm,
you start to realize where some of these sort of conditions are come from. But if you want to break out of whatever it is that you're doing into something else, the more you examine these things and the more that then you can create an inner environment that believes you're worthy of whatever it is you want to earn and doing it in a way how you want to do it.
yeah.
Because like that first example, going, well, I could probably go and earn £10,000 a month, working all the hours God sends, and then I have an inner belief that the easiest path to that income is in a world that some bits I enjoy, but I don't feel it fills me with joy and love and happiness. I
Mhm.
feel there's a lot of things that impact me in that type of way. So you just sort of it's just fascinating when you start to drill into it for yourself, and then where you start to see some of the things around the judgment coming up, and you're like, the outshining, or you don't want to be like your friends going, how the fuck is she earning? She must have an OnlyFans page. There's no way she could be earning that amount of money for that. Or if people your pals go on your website and see that you suddenly or that you're charging, I don't know, let's say you're charging like £3,000 for a coaching seminar that's blah, blah, blah. And people are, but that what you then have to, and why this work is helpful is because you've created an environment where those things will just bounce off you. That is their opinion of you and whatever it is you're doing, and that is fine. But you've
Yeah.
drawn a line under that impact in your decision making.
Yeah. It's really interesting because everything, when it comes to money, what I've realized is at the core of it all is like um, this need for safety.
Mm.
And what's really interesting about it is it's not even just physical safety, it's also emotional safety. It's both of them. And there's like, there's the two biggest fears that we have as human beings is the fear of rejection and abandonment and fear of death. And
Mm-hmm.
everything, when we actually whittle it all down, all of it comes back to that. And it's like to your own nervous system, like certain things will feel dangerous and they might not logically, they might not make sense, but on a physical level, they feel unsafe. And adding into that, the layers of like the conditioning and the limiting beliefs that you've had running in your subconscious that have been there literally from birth that you've developed is like, the first thing is obviously the awareness of it, like seeing that there's a pattern there and seeing that there's something, oh, actually, I'm seeing what's happening here. But then it's like the shift to actually create the change. And there's also another layer that's just popped in that I want to talk about because it's come up a lot for me, is that when you're not doing that at a pace that your ego thinks is either acceptable or good enough, is that there's then this shame cycle that starts.
Yeah.
And there's this feeling of, well, I'm not good enough, this old storyline that starts playing. And shame's a really tricky one, right? Because when we get pulled into shame, it's not productive and it can keep you feeling really stuck. And so with that, it's like this emotion that it's witnessing it and recognizing where it comes from. Because I've seen this a lot and I'm talking about it because I know that I'm not the only one. There'll be people listening to this that are like, maybe you're in a similar situation to Gail and I, where you're out on your own, you've started your own thing and it's not producing the results that you had hoped that it would or that you wanted it to yet. Let's add yet. And it's like there's emotions that come up around that. And you start to, if you're not careful, you can start to attach that to your own identity. And it makes it this I am statement, which then adds in this layer of extra limiting energy within that. I think it's important that we recognize these things as they come up so that we can deal with them and they're not actually expanding out. And because money is one of those things that like we have societally attached a lot of even our own self-worth to, is like people are interested, how much do they earn? Do you know, what do they make? Or they're going out on their own, like how much money do they make? Or they really look like they're struggling. Then there's like judgment and all of these things that are like attached into it. And so it's like there's so much inner work that's involved in it when it comes to money, to your own self-worth, to what is possible for you, to all of these narratives that have been playing out in your life and have like also contributed to the choices that you've made, where you've sought something that has felt safe versus something that feels risky. And we're constantly as humans also looking for evidence, right? I love Tiffany Carter for this actually, because she talks a lot about this, is like looking for evidence of what it is that you desire. Because when you don't have people who are doing either similar work to you or are earning the kind of money that you would like to earn doing what you do or doing it working for themselves or whatever, it's like that reaffirms an old belief. And if we can look out and find people, even if they're at a distance, that are people that we can go, okay, it's like there's evidence that that exists, that that is possible. It's like you were talking about doing that. Is it Elaine? Am I getting the name right?
Oh,
The
Alien.
course
Yeah.
Alien, yeah. So you're doing that and you're witnessing that there is a stylist out there that's making 6 figures and she's working for herself. And so it's like that like reaffirms to us too that these things are possible. And I think it's sort of expanding your own possibilities, like what is possible for me in my life, what is available to me. And if there's things that come up, it's like that say, oh no, but that couldn't happen to me. That's something that happens to other people. Where does that come from?
Mm. It's also our inner critic likes to make
Yeah.
appearances on these things. And then there's tools you can do. But the first step on any of it, I suppose, is that bearing witness, isn't it? Where you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. And even just starting with the saying aloud, like, I am worthy of £10,000 a month. Like, even now I'm a bit like, "Ugh, do I really believe that?"
Yeah.
And then because that's like when I say that, I'm like, I'm worthy of that doing what I want to do now, not what
Mm.
I used to do. And then you realize, so many things come out. But it was really interesting when I sort of concluded when I did this, and then looking at even with my I love and accept myself around all of me, but probably predominantly a bit more around that kind of physical stuff. I realize that it's like, it's just this, I've been operating in a container, and the containers are helpful as building blocks. And like I was saying, that actually that container has expanded. But the reality, I suppose, or maybe it's not reality, but my personal belief is that I think if I really want to be earning what I want to live my life how I want to show up how I want to, that container needs to be so expansive. I can't feel the walls, or
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
or that it doesn't exist anymore. And, when I work with people and like, this sort of, even like a styling perspective, like, you know, things like color, body shape, dressing for that, or fashion and trends and blah, blah, blah. They're containers with which to build confidence. But the
Mhm.
idea is it's building bricks so that there becomes a point where you don't need the training wheel or the container anymore. Like, it's like the stabilizers and the bike are off. You're free. You're good to go.
Yeah,
But I think for what I realized for me is that, it's like the stabilizer's still on the bike, but I'm able to pedal that bike, no problem. But I'm just choosing to use the stabilizers because that feels safer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Safety, safety. And isn't it so funny when you think about it? Because it's like you limit yourself because you think it's gonna keep you safe.
And I just thought this keeps you stuck, and you're like, meh. Or then what will happen is part of your life you'll feel like you're free and you're doing what it is that you want to do, but then
Yeah,
the other part is less so. And that might be okay. That might be acceptable. Like, you might be like, this is a trade off I can live with just now because I'm free in this aspect. And for some people,
mhm,
that's where I think I just realize the type of person I am, to even go and do just a jobby job. It's not like a 9 till 5 container where I leave and then I'm like, because that's not how I'm built. I will always get involved. Part of that's my
yeah,
5-1 line probably. But, so I think because I struggled to maybe do some of that, like maybe as an adult, maybe less so when I was younger, but that makes it harder for me to compartmentalize, to say, well, if I have a job that facilitates this, I enjoy the people I work with, but I can just turn that off and shut the door at the end of the day, come home, and then the rest of my life is this free and expansive, creative and joyful, and
yeah,
but that's just not how I'm built. So, and that's all the work around doing it for yourself and digging in and, asking the hard
yeah.
questions.
And
Um,
giving yourself grace on the journey of figuring it out as well, because like
yeah,
when you're learning, this is a note to self too, is like when you're learning a new way of doing things and like a completely different way of doing things, it takes time. It
yeah,
takes time, and it's being patient with yourself on the journey and allowing yourself to make mistakes on the way. Like it doesn't make it mean anything about you. It doesn't make you less than just because you either made a mistake or you feel like you failed. Like, it comes back to that whole thing. Like, you can only fail if you give up. And really, the things that we perceive as failures are all opportunities for us to adapt, to change, to shift. Be like, okay, well, that thing didn't go how I thought it was going to go. So, what is it that I can change in how I'm showing up and the actions that I'm taking, the things that I'm doing to produce a different kind of result? And I think that's one of the beautiful things that Sagittarius can teach us as well with this full moon is like the expansion, and it's setting your sights on something and allowing yourself to go for it. And even though it might be a learning journey, do you know what I mean? Like Sagittarius rules the ninth, and it is all about like higher learning. It is allowing yourself to be a learner on the journey, not to have it all figured out. Because I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that it's like, oh, I should know exactly how to do this. And
Oh,
like
yeah.
personally, before I even started like going out and doing my own thing, and it was spiritual life coaching that I started out with. And before I did, I was like, there was so many limiting beliefs coming up, so much that kept me feeling so stuck, because it was like that feeling of like even just going out and doing something different felt so scary. And
Yeah.
it's just give yourself grace, man. Give yourself grace, because like actually in doing these things, like especially when you take a leap of faith on yourself, on something that you truly, truly believe in, it takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of guts, and it's why a lot of people aren't doing it, because it's too scary. It's too unstable. It's too unpredictable. It's all of these things that it's like, there's nobody's giving you a guaranteed paycheck at the end of the month. Nobody's giving you a guarantee that of anything. But
Yeah.
then, like, as many of us have experienced, also working for somebody else, you can get made redundant. That company can go under. It's like we have been conditioned to put our livelihood in the hands of someone else. Like, that's what we've been conditioned to do, is that when it comes to like the work that we do, it's like we work for someone else. But it's building someone else's empire, and it's not always necessarily something that you believe in.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's okay to do it, right? There's no shame in that either. Like, if you want to even do something like work for someone else while you're building your own thing, like there doesn't need to be one way or the other. But it's like, it's figuring out what works for you and allowing it to be a learning curve,
Wow.
allowing it to be a learning
Yeah.
curve. Because
Um,
it's like this journey, it brings up all your shit, especially working for yourself. I never anticipated just how confronting it would be. Like even
yeah.
more so than even relationships, is like going out and doing my own business in work that really is meaningful to me. It has brought up so much. It has brought up so much. And it's
I
like,
totally agree with you.
yeah.
Um, Before you do the card pull, I just want to share. Something I read last night on. So Anne Marie Mackenzie, who is a coach I've worked with off and on over the years, she's very into numerology, and she posted something on our page last night about the numerology coming up for the beginning of the month and what we're being invited to. But at the end of the post, she posed a question, and
Oh,
I've been
cool.
really mulling it over. It's really interesting. So it's like if you left behind like all your if like your qualifications, like your belief systems, like what people think of you, your relationships, anything, all the labels that you've kind of acquired, who would you choose to be today? Because she was saying the numerology is inviting us to think about like who are we and where are we going, not maybe who have we been. And it was really interesting because you start to think about like, and I was journaling a bit on it last night, like who would I choose to be? And I was thinking, well,
Mm-hmm.
actually, I suppose I've done quite a bit of work on that recently. And I was sat there thinking, well, the things that are on my vision board, I was like, I kind of like, yeah. But then I haven't really fully answered it. Like I jotted some bits down and I couldn't really, and I was like, well, are there things that I would choose to be that I'm not or that I, I want to become? And, because it's quite an expansive question.
Yeah.
What comes up for you with that? Like, if I put you on the spot, I'm like, instant. I mean, I've been mulling it over for like the last
Yeah.
day and a half. So
Do you know what? I think what it comes down to is just giving myself permission to be myself, to live in alignment with my own truth.
that's not really so it's more around like, so I suppose, yes, there's an element of I choose to be me, but then is there other things like in addition? So if you say, well, if I say, well, what are you or who are you?
I am a limitless soul having a human experience, man.
But like, I think about it, like, so it's like, so, like, I've used her for
Ah.
some examples around, like, things like a heart-centered leader, but then she was like, I'm writing a book and I'm like, author, and she's saying, is author really what I want to be? Is it actually maybe more storytelling? And, so you start to sort of see the nuance. But, ultimately it's asking the question of who are you in the name
Mm.
of, in the way of, like, let's say
Yeah.
labels or titles. And then you're thinking, well, what are the labels that I have just now? And this is what's funny because I was down the list and Bob's like, are you all right? And because I was literally sat with the pen of the paper and I was just staring ahead. I was like, I'm thinking about this question. And it's really interesting for him because he's always wanted to be a joiner. So he's like,
Mhm.
well, in terms of like me being me. But then weirdly this morning we were talking about something and actually part of what he loves about his job is the creation of tangible things that will exist beyond him.
Yeah,
And
such a Virgo thing, I love that.
yeah, and then he's like,
Yeah,
like family is important to him.
yeah.
Um, but he was like, well, what's the, because I was like, well, the whole point of this question is to get you thinking about like, what are you desiring? What is it that you truly
Mhm.
aspire? But, and what are you already? And maybe actually some of the things you aspire to, if you're honest, you are that already. But what are maybe some of the things you want to leave behind? And also when you
Mm.
start to see the gaps, you can start to think of, am I, like, to your whole point around your Knight of Pentacles, am I moving towards this or
Yeah,
further away? And also there's things where we get preoccupied with qualifications to
yeah.
validate who we are. But
And
you
also, like, that can be quite limiting to put yourself just in one box of, "I am a
Mhm.
writer," or "I am an actress," or
Yeah.
"I am this or that," because then it's also attaching our identity to the work that we do
Yeah, and
and
it's
how we're of service, and that's not all that we are, you know?
yeah,
So I think,
yeah.
like, for me, a huge part of it is, like, creativity. Like, when I come, like, really strip it back is, like, what am I creating here on earth? Like, what is the mark that I'm gonna be leaving behind? And how I'm of service on what I choose to create in my day to day. And, like, creation being even, like, connections, like the people that I connect with and the memories that I make and stuff like that. But I don't know. 'Cause I think it can be dangerous to just, like, limit ourselves to, like, who we are is just what we do.
But it doesn't have to be it's not like a one-word answer, like, and I think that's part of the
Mhm.
point is we are
Yeah.
multifaceted. And
Yeah.
then, because if you're like, "Well, I want to be myself and I'm a creator," and I'm like, "Well, I
What does
would
that look
invite
like?
you to go deeper or to be curious around the things that are underneath that." Because, you know, like, when it's like, because it's also who do you choose to be as well? And you
Yeah.
can be like, I'm choosing to be a creator. I'm choosing to be a tarot reader. And
Mm.
you're like, well, I already am that, but well, what else might that be? And you might be like Bob, who's like, actually, who I choose to be now is actually who I've always been. And so I had some of my words were around, because then it draws in things like so for him he's a father.
Mhm.
So if I said I choose to be a mother, I mean I don't have biological children,
Mhm.
so my embodiment of mother, if that was a word that was on there, is different. It's doggy mum. Um,
Mm.
or like when you think about, like, you might have initially put like leader, but then, well, what does that mean? So it's just encouraging curiosity, I suppose. But I mean, some people find
Mm.
these questions really easy to answer because they're very clear on who they choose to be now. Um,
Do you think that that question ties back to, like, the broader purpose or
yeah, maybe.
mission or whatever word you'd like to attach to it of, like, why we're here?
Yeah, I think so because some people
Mm.
will, like, for some people, like, it would be like family, like that would be because for some people, like, their be all and end all is like, actually, I'm here for family. That's what brings me joy. That's what gives me purpose.
Mm.
Um, like, parenthood is something that some people might have on there, some people might not. And I think this is the beauty, isn't it? It's like it gets you thinking of who do you choose to be, and it doesn't, because in order for us as a society, if we were all the same, it would be a fucking boring. But that's
Yeah.
not how we as a society and as a being and a species grow and evolve and move together because it's there's opportunity to learn and grow from each other. Whereas if we were all just sat here going, well, we've all got the same thing, it's like there's no
Yeah.
progress. But it
It's
also allows
interesting because,
like,
like,
sorry, on you
the,
go.
because I'm finishing up this astrology diploma.
Yeah,
Finally, you'll be pleased to hear this has been ongoing for a very long time. But what's really interesting about it is, as I'm delving into more about the chart interpretation and transits and progress charts and all of these things, is looking at our own unique astrology. And it's like similarly to human design that you've been delving into, is that we're all built different. We're all built different. And what I really love about astrology is like when you understand your chart and where there's like emphasis on different areas within the different signs and the different houses, it can really tell you where there's like major themes that are in your life of like the kind of like things that you'll be drawn to naturally, where your strengths naturally lie. And like this conversation's bringing up for me, like I've got heavy sixth house, ninth house, why can I not get that out, in the 12th house, which is like there's this connection to like well-being, healthy habits and routines connected to higher learning. Like I was saying about the ninth house, it's actually spiritual teaching as well. And like I think at the core of like what I am passionate about is teaching people about what, like, through the wisdom that I've gained on my own journey, whether that's through tarot, it's through astrology, it's through coaching, it's through meditation, whatever the actual method or tools that I teach are, at the core of it is about like our own evolution and our own spiritual journeys and things like that. Writing is a part of that too. I'm really realizing that through this, there's like more and more emphasis on writing for me. So that's interesting. And then the 12th house, which is the unconscious, it's also the spiritual, it's self-sabotage, it's, what's hidden, it's our dreams and illusions and all of that. So all of these parts of my chart are majorly emphasized. Um, and that's what's really interesting, is when you start to like delve into your own and you see what parts of your chart are really highlighted, where there is a lot of action in terms of like where there's planets, what the house is in, what sign it's in. It gives you more information and it starts to make sense about like, oh, it's interesting like that I had that I went on that journey, or I had that path, that kind of thing. Like for me, van life is an absolutely great example of that, because me with Sagittarius sixth house, I've got this pull towards freedom in the work that I do. But then Saturn's also there. So Saturn wants structure, and it's finding this balance because there's push-pull energy there. And that's part of like, through my own lived example of that, again, coming back to give yourself grace. It's like, because you're figuring it out on the journey. That's the whole point. It's not that it's just a one and done. And this is what's beautiful about like when you are going through and asking yourselves, like the question that you've just asked me, when you understand yourself on a deeper level, and when you're showing up in the world, you realize that it's through your life experiences that you can show up in a different way, that you can show up more authentically as yourself, and you can align with the things that truly are meaningful and truly light you up and help you feel like mostly yourself. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So yeah, I think like it's interesting because there's like my ego, especially when it comes to making money, making as if we make money, isn't it? It's like it's an energy. That's the
I
other
mean, to
thing
be
as well,
honest,
is
if
that like we
that's what we
attract it
did,
to
you could
us.
just sit here and like, I'll be like, here's some money. I've just made this.
Well, I made this money. But what my ego tells me is pick a lane, Sandra. Pick one
Mm,
thing that you're going to be known for. And
I hear
I
that a
noticed that
lot.
coming up with even doing my astrology studies, is that like I know a shitload about astrology, right? That I could launch a course, I could launch a program right now based on what I know. And it's like that could be a part of what I do, but I still love reading tarot. I still love having a podcast. I still love writing poetry. And it's like there's all these different facets, and I think it's allowing ourselves to be that too.
Oh, absolutely.
Not necessarily putting ourselves in a box or a lane or a container.
Mm, I
Or
agree.
a container.
What do you
Do we
think the
need a
cards have
card?
got to say about all of this chat?
I know. Is there anything that universe would like to give us before we close out the old podcast? Anything else, universe, that we've not?
What's come out?
The moon and the nine of cups. The moon and the nine of cups. This is like moving through your fears, and the illusions and the darkness towards like your nine of cups is your wish fulfillment.
Mm,
This is the card of like literally, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, it's like the card of jumping for joy, where everything feels possible. It feels expansive, it feels freeing, it feels light.
mm,
And the moon is like what's hidden. The moon is like 12th house energy. It's the unconscious, the unseen, the things that are lingering under the surface is literally what we've been talking about. I love when the cards just like sum it up. It's like moving through your fears to be living the life that you want to live,
yeah. The thing
living a
that's
life
going
of
round and
joy
round in
and
my head is
freedom.
like it's like go in to come out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because, like, with this moon, I love this moon card as well because it's like you can get a bit lost
Yeah,
in it if it's like she's fallen down into the ocean, and the water represents emotions.
yeah,
And it's like you can go in there, dip yourself in to like see what is it that's under the surface. What is it that's lingering there? Seeing the light and the shadow, but not getting like completely lost in it.
yeah.
Interesting that we've just had the full moon yesterday as well in Sagittarius, and this is the full moon, the moon card. So it's like pay attention to like what's been illuminated for you around this time. What has been what is the moon been shining a light on for you? And what is it asking of you? What's it asking you to let go? And also I'm getting surrender. What's it asking you to surrender and not hold on so tightly to the old ways of being, the old ways of doing. Like this nine of cups feels so expansive.
Mm.
It feels really abundant. I mean, there's a whole treasure chest on there. There's a whole treasure chest. So yeah, while it's great to go inwards, to ask yourself the questions, to get clarity, to illuminate what has been in the darkness, don't get stuck there. I like that whole thing of getting stuck in the healing of it,
Mm.
feeling like you're a perpetual work in progress and like you're not a project that needs to be fixed. That's not it.
You can
It's just that,
choose to be whoever you want to be.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing, this nine of cups, like they've got blue hair and they're jumping up. This is not giving a fuck. Got blue hair
Yeah.
because I like blue hair
I've
and
got
all of this
grey
solar
hair, don't
eclipses
care.
energy. Huh?
I've got grey hair, don't care.
Grey hair, don't care. Exactly. Just embracing yourself. Embracing. And the nine of
It's
cups
a
is
state
like
of
not taking it all
expression and
so seriously.
individuality. It's like, and I think that's
Yeah.
an interesting point, isn't it? Because it's like the more you're yourself, the more joy and freedom you'll experience. Whereas like if you are um trying to you're walking a path or following a dream that you think might be a good one to do because you've seen somebody else do it, you're never going to reach those heady heights of the joy and expansion that you whereas when you work on the thing that is actually yours, whether
Yeah.
that's the blue hair, that's like because that's the other thing as well, isn't it? It's like you get stuck in comparisonitis, and I that's ultimately I think why I probably didn't get as far as maybe I could have in financial because it wasn't truly my dream. But like I've seen people
Yeah.
who like it is their dream, and like I've got a friend and she's so successful and doing so well because like it's something that brings her joy, and so that's she's getting her nine of cups moment because and things are offered. people are seeking her out, things are coming on her plate because she is living the thing that is hers.
Yeah. 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 It's a good reminder for all of us, isn't it? I'm also getting a side message here about like the fear of what abundance will bring.
That's the I am worthy of 10K a month task. That the
Yeah, it's like what are the fears around what abundance will bring? So like some illusions around like what that will mean for you or what might happen as a result of that. Mm. This podcast could go on and on and on and on.
I know,
You'd
I
have
feel
like
like it's
there's
such a
so many other
downer.
things that I could touch on right now, but
Oh,
I am
we
mindful
could
that
go back
everybody has
and do
been
that
here for
again.
an hour and 15 minutes, so thank you for being here. And as always, would love to hear from you guys. What has this
Yeah.
brought up for you? Um, how does the topic and the message from the cards today resonate for you? Wonder what's on the bottom of the deck. The sun.
Oh, yay.
The sun, Gail's card, Leo energy. Shine bright. Shine bright. Be the sun. Be the sun. Such a beautiful card. It's like so free.
Yeah, that's interesting because when I was doing my research for the embodiment at the weekend for the Sag full moon, and one of the areas it was encouraging exploration is this is the last full moon before the summer solstice. So it was also about
Mm.
so releasing the things that bind you, but also setting your intentions for summer. And
Yeah,
I
I love that.
Sandra came to my class on when I was doing the playlist, I was like trying to bring in some summer energy as well. But
Yeah.
it was funny because the first so we do like 45 minutes of practice, like Kundalini-based practice, and then the last 15-minute is journaling or integration, and there's like generally like 3 or 4 songs that kinda to support what we've just been working on. But the first song was Baz Luhrmann, "Everyone's Free to Wear Sunscreen,"
Yeah.
and I haven't listened to that for so long, and it was really interesting sitting there because I thought it's quite a summer tune, obviously from the '90s, and "Wear Sunscreen," which is always a
Yeah.
good message for intentions for the summer, but it was like such some, like, wise stuff in there.
That song lives in my head rent free. Like I think about that. That's like my Roman Empire. Did you see the whole trend that was going around about like how often men think about the Roman Empire? And
No.
it's like this was like I think it was a year or two ago that was like people were asking their partners and their husbands and stuff like how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And like there'd be people like every day, like multiple times a day. And then other
Okay.
people it was like, every other day or a week or at least every month. Yeah, like deep dive into
Yeah,
like the Roman Empire.
random.
Eh, but side note. But for me, yeah, Baz Luhrmann, there's like little lines that come up for me every now and again that is like it's a nice little
Yeah.
reminder. Um,
Currently, I think Radio 2 did like, an updated modern version of it, but actually, do you know, I just think the wisdom that lies in there is, like, so true.
mm,
Um, and then did you
enjoy the
enjoy my
power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind.
oh,
You will
if
not
anybody,
understand
if
the
you've
power
made
and
it this
beauty of
far,
your
go
youth
and
until
listen to the
listening.
song. It's really wise. And then I did laugh as well because there was a bit of, like, the NSYNC "Bye, bye, bye" in the whole, like, releasing.
Bye, bye, bye. I
Well, I was
know.
like, "Oh, my things." I've obviously didn't laugh too much to move down. But yeah, the Baz Luhrmann song was like it it was, yeah,
Baz Luhrmann
something.
didn't actually write that. It was from
No.
somebody else's
Is
essay.
it
I
Baz
think it might have
Luhrmann?
been a woman, and he asked for permission to make it into a song.
I think it must have been a woman because there's a line in there that there's a few lines that talk about body and body image.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that
You are
men don't
not as
experience
fat
these
as you
things, but
imagine.
I literally was like,
Yes.
"Listen to that, Gail. Listen."
Rewind.
You
Yeah,
know? No, it was good. But yeah, so the part of the point of that was just to say that, this is also a good moment to think about what are your intentions for summer. Like if the rest of your
yeah.
life feels too vast, what are your
Mhm.
intentions for summer and lean on that sun energy.
Summer vibes. And for anyone who's like not yet been to Gail's embodiment class, it is such a beautiful way to start your weekend. Like
Thanks.
Genuinely, and see for me going through so much at the moment, like heavy stuff in my life, is like it's such a grounding practice to just come back into my body. And also with the journaling prompts, like I loved doing those at the weekend because it shifted my attention. It shifted in
Yeah.
a direction of like upliftment and positivity and where life can go and not just being bogged down. It's like it's such a good way to shift the energy. It was quite the physical stuff I found quite like challenging this
It was
week.
quite a sweaty one this week.
It was a sweaty one.
I
I was like,
don't know, actually, weirdly, I was thinking of you, and because when I was building the class, and I thought, like, the wood chopper, that's a good one
yes.
for, like,
Yeah.
getting frustration out of your fucking body.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite, there was quite a lot of vigor.
Mhm.
Because that's the thing sometimes is like, even with any sort of yogic practice, whatever branch you choose, there's always, sometimes like it's the physical side can be like building strength because you're holding
Mhm.
positions, or it could be actually you're building strength through like the movements and the repetition. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
one. And I always find it's hard when you're sort of like half participating as the teacher, but then you're like, I'm getting so out of breath here. I'm sure they don't want to hear me go. So it's like,
And your
and
microphone.
I know. And then I was
Um,
like, I could feel like you can feel the sweat sort of like dribbling down, but you think, well, it's
it is
like
what it is. We're all in it together.
we are. And it's like every sort
Yeah.
of practice and things that you do, like these things. I mean, I think even the people who are like expert, like Kundalini teachers and gurus, they find things challenging in the same way as we do, right? So,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, thank you for coming. It's,
No, thank you for holding the space and for coming up with a brilliant class, genuinely.
there's a
I've been
membership for anyone interested. You don't even have to join the
yeah.
lives. You can just do the replays.
The showing up live, I have to say though, there's something in like because I've been struggling to get out of bed in the mornings, finding that really hard. And there's something about showing up for
Right.
yourself, like for getting yourself up and doing something that you know is going to be good for you. There's a lot of
Yeah,
power in that. And that I believe shifted the tone of how my weekend went was that one thing and showing up for myself on Saturday morning and
yeah. I
getting up
agree. I
and
mean,
just
I do
shifting.
my own personal practice is at 6 a.m. twice a week, a Wednesday and a Friday.
Mm.
And this week on Friday, like Thursday had been a very busy, tiring day. And I have to say, like when my alarm went off at 10 to 6 on Friday, I was like, I could just sack this. And I actually
Mm.
sat there on the edge of the bed, and well, I thought I could just go back to sleep and my body probably would have enjoyed the rest. But I was like, actually, what I need today is to shift the stuff that was lingering from the day prior. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is the moment when you show up for yourself and get on the mat.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's times where I've given myself permission not to do it, and that in itself feels like growth. But there's on Friday, it was very much my body knew that actually it needed to get on the mat. And I was like, just push
Mm.
through, because as soon as you start and you sit on that mat and the class begins, it's that tuning into yourself. And actually, the movement is just going to release the things that are currently sitting stuck, and the tiredness that you're feeling will abate.
Yeah.
Um, And that's the thing when you start showing up for yourself, isn't it? Is then you start distinguishing between, like, do I genuinely need rest, or am I just sort of skiving because I can't be arsed? And
Yeah.
actually then you start to realize in the practice that showing up for yourself is the thing that will help you,
Mhm.
in that moment. Um, because and the thing is as well with, like, the practices, because it's like embodiment or Kundalini, like, you have choice and autonomy over your body. And the way that certainly my classes and how I've been taught is, if what you feel is that you just need to lie down on your yoga mat and do deep breathing while the rest of
Mhm.
the class, and online or in person, is doing the exercises, like you're listening to your body and tuning in, and you do feel the energy that kind of comes across. And
Yeah.
um, so it's all about education about yourself and getting curious about what it is that you need. But I love
Mm-hmm.
it. I do love the teaching, and
Yeah.
on my Kundalini teacher training journey, which is
It's so
I
exciting.
know, I know, it's every day's a school day with it, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to just blast through this.
That's how I feel with astrology. And you know, it's like, because like with that, I am so close to finishing it, right? And I know this is what my ego wants to do, is wants to just blast through the last couple of modules, because I could go through the
Yeah,
reading all of the information, going through the test and everything for it, but it doesn't integrate the learning, and that's what I'm adamant that I'm going to do. So I'm taking my time with, especially this last bit where it's like, it's just taking the time and not trying to rush the process. Cause like,
no,
well, both of us like love to learn as well, don't we? And it's like just allowing yourself to enjoy the process of taking that information in and not
yeah,
rush into the end phase, because like for me it's not just about getting a certification, it's about the actual integrating what I learn. And I've been my first student in this, like
yeah,
through, and that's what's beautiful about the, like with you with Kundalini as well, it's like you're your first student. Like
yeah,
with the embodiment stuff too, it's like you learn through your own body and through your own being,
yeah.
and then through that you like are able to hold that space and teach others, so it's
I
really
think with
cool.
self-paced is sometimes there's like because you think, well, if I take my foot off the gas, I won't get it done, and
Mm,
so mine is so there's like is a blend of self-paced, and then there's some things that I attend on that are live.
yeah.
But like, the completion of the coursework, the submission of the stuff, that's all at my leisure. And
Mhm.
so it's that kind of sweet spot, isn't it? By not just rushing through it because you're like, well, let's just get the certificate. But it's actually enjoy
Mhm.
it because if we were doing these learnings, all of it live and in person, there is the time for the integration, the time for the like to sort of process it all and like go through what's happening in the background. But
Mhm.
um, I mean, if I had the choice, like, I would definitely love to have gone away and done like this over like a month's intense training.
I could
But
so totally, I said that to Gail on a voice note. I
yeah,
was like, I could totally see you going doing like an eat, pray, love moment,
I
going to
would
somewhere
definitely love
and
that.
yeah,
I'm really pleased with the choice I've made in terms of the yoga school that I've chosen and like the live sort of class and options and the teachings that are there. Um, And I suppose the fact that they've got these teachings in the diary helps, and it like because then I'm like, well, that's in my diary. I will attend that
mhm,
live class.
yeah,
Um, but it's like because there's quite a lot of like background learning history. There's a whole sort of like yogic lifestyle and all these types of things. So it's not just learning the poses or
yeah,
the kriyas and to be able to and the breath works and then to teach all that. It's like there's a lot of like the why, which I enjoy.
mm,
Um, and it's just, these are the things, isn't it? Sometimes it's like the motivation to keep going. Um,
yeah.
but
I'd like to get into that in the next episode, because we were talking
yeah.
about the yogic diet. Maybe
I'm just sickening
we could
because
go and
like
we could record episode 2 now while we're on a roll.
I was just
Stay
laughing because
tuned.
like I do I like a laugh where I always think it's funny sometimes when it comes to like consumption and food. It's like we can know the information that would be beneficial, but whether we are able or choose to follow that is sometimes a little bit there can be a disconnect. And then this is where things shine a light around why do we feel that we couldn't do that? Like sugar's a big thing around for me, or like, so it
Yeah,
gets you
very
starting to, and
true.
then you're like, am I just making excuses here? And like, could I actually do this? And da, 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 da. So yeah, we could definitely talk about that. Always happy to do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
this has
The
been a
difference
great
between
episode. I hope everybody
yeah,
listening thinks so. I've enjoyed the chat.
it's been a great chat. I'm gonna do my mind map around what comes up around
The
money, money,
first thing is
money.
to listen to yourself saying it. So before you even write anything down, like just sit and say it aloud.
Yeah. Pick your number.
Pick your number.
Pick your number and
And
say
if you
it out
don't have
loud.
a number, you know, try like what's the most you've ever earned in a month and double it.
Mhm.
or treble it
Oh,
and
we could do
see.
this
But
collective exercise, everybody. It's your
mm.
homework for next week.
Awesome. Well, until the
Awesome.
next time.
Until the next time, you're
Thanks for
worthy. You
listening.
can earn whatever you want to earn. Show me the
Absolutely.
money. You get the movie reference. Until next time,
Absolutely.
people.
See you
Bye.
later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed this and would like to keep us fueled for future episodes, you can buy us a coffee.
Or you can make a donation via the link below. It's never expected, but always appreciated. Thanks for listening.